ever get this, like, nagging feeling
Hmm.
that maybe, just maybe, a world leader's personality could actually mess with, you know, global stability?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been thinking about that, especially with all this talk about, well,
Yeah.
a potential Trump presidency.
Right.
And it's got me kind of hooked on this Gerson Torres guy. He does this Coffee Talk podcast
Yeah,
here.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, have you?
Hmm.
He's got some, let's just say, interesting thoughts
Okay.
on how Trump's age, mental state, even his moral character could play out on a global scale. And, that's what we are diving into today.
Right. Sounds interesting.
One thing that really hit me was, well, Torres focused on Trump's age.
Okay.
The guy's 78. So, I mean, at what point does age, just plain age, make it tough to lead a superpower? What do you think?
It's a question more of us are going to be asking, frankly, with an aging population. But yeah, there's definitely research out there that shows some cognitive decline just naturally happens as we get older. And we're talking about things that matter in this context, like cognitive flexibility, how well we adapt to curveballs, new ideas, that kind of thing. And then there's impulse control, even decision making. It's not some abstract thing. These are vital for navigating global politics.
It's like trying to play 4D chess when your brain's stuck on checkers or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And Torres goes beyond just like, oh, he's old.
Mm-hmm.
He points to Trump's recent behavior and says, hey, are these signs of, well, maybe impairment isn't the right word.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm comfortable saying psychopath either. What's the right term here?
Well, it's a sensitive area, right? But the behaviors Torres points to, like impulsivity, the inflammatory rhetoric, a disregard for truth, those are patterns. And patterns can tell us something.
And that's where your expertise comes in, right?
I'd say so, yeah.
So let's say, hypothetically, you've got a world leader who struggles with those exact things. Impulsivity, inflammatory rhetoric, disregard for truth. What could that look like on the world stage? Give me a worst-case scenario.
Worst case.
Yeah, lay on me.
Well, international relations are built on this, like, really fragile web of treaties, agreements.
Right, very delicate.
Yeah, and trust is everything. But if you've got a leader who's known for blowing up, saying one thing, then doing another, contradicting their own people, it's like...
Undermining everyone and everything.
Exactly. Allies stop trusting you. Rivals see an opening. It can spiral pretty quickly.
It's like that saying, right? Takes years to build trust, seconds to break it.
And on the world stage, the stakes are exponentially higher.
So true. And it makes me think about, for example, the Iran nuclear deal. That was the whole thing, right?
Incredibly complex, took years to negotiate, a lot of give and take.
Exactly. And you need a certain, I don't know, consistency to pull that off.
For sure. Patience, commitment to truth, the willingness to work within a framework. You can't just, like, tweet your way out of a nuclear standoff.
Definitely not. And that leads to another thing Torres is really concerned about.
What's that?
Moral leadership.
Yeah.
Or, in this case, maybe the lack of it. And he brings up January 6th.
Right.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
How do you see that event, in terms of leadership?
Oh, January 6th was a masterclass in how much words matter, especially a leader's words.
A leader can incite things just by what they say. It's scary.
And divide and undermine the very systems they're supposed to uphold. It was like watching the floor drop out. And when a global power, a country that's supposed to be a model of democracy.
All right, a beacon of hope and all that.
Exactly. When they seem shaky on those very principles, it sends shockwaves everywhere.
It's like giving permission, right, for others to do the same.
That's Torres's fear that it becomes a template for other populist movements.
Exactly. And we're seeing this rise of populism, right? Brazil, Hungary. And look, I'm not saying it's a direct one-to-one thing, but
it creates a climate.
It normalizes it.
Makes it seem less shocking. Like, oh, if they can do it, why can't we?
Yeah, that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Makes you really think about who we want in charge and not just, like, their policies,
It's bigger than that.
It's everything. Torres also talks about how divisive Trump's leadership style is. And, okay, maybe it fires up his base, but it also splits the U.S. right down the middle.
Mm-hmm. And that has consequences.
So what happens when a country, especially a powerful one, is that divided? What does it do on the world stage?
Trying to present a united front when your own house is in disarray, it's almost impossible. Other countries, they see that. They see the cracks. Makes it harder to negotiate, harder to respond effectively to crises.
Because even if you agree on a solution, can you even implement it back home?
Exactly. It undermines everything. Imagine like a global pandemic. You need global cooperation, but your own country can't even agree on basic health measures. That's where this stuff gets real.
Man, when you put it that way, it's kind of terrifying.
It's about looking at the whole picture. The policies matter, of course, but
So who that leader is, how they operate, that matters
Yeah.
too, right?
their temperament, their judgment, their moral compass, it all factors in.
It's not just personality, it's the fate of the world, potentially.
Wow. It's a lot to think about.
It really is. Torres ends his podcast, I don't know if you caught this, but he ends with this call to action.
Yeah.
He wants listeners to think about what we truly need in our leaders.
I like that.
So, given everything we just talked about, what's one question, just one that our listeners should ask themselves about any world leader?
Good question. I think it comes down to this. Does this leader, through their actions, their words, their character, inspire the kind of confidence that makes you believe they can handle the world stage? Because it's a big stage with even bigger consequences.
And that is something to think about.